All right, this is the Big Douglas Show. This week on our Meet the Podcasters series, it's Mike Reed from the Burgundy Zone. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Doug. How you doing, man?
I'm doing.
It's a long time coming, but we're finally here.
It is. I was talking to Kyle about that the other day, and I went back looking through the playlist. I was like, I can't believe these guys. I don't think I was on with you guys full time. I don't think you guys were on with us. So I'm glad that we've fixed those problems. You're right. It was too long.
Exactly. Yeah.
So look, I've got a whole bunch of stuff ready for today, but the ice cream man, I heard him today.
Okay.
So I was thinking, oh man, how nice are those cones, the Sunday cone? Look, chocolate in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
That's my go-to. What is your go-to when the ice cream man stops by?
Oh, see, it depends. A long time ago when I was younger, I would always go with the little WWF, WWE ones that they had, like the Undertaker, they had Shawn Michaels. Okay. Those were always delicious. Then for whatever reason, my stepson would always get the SpongeBob ones, those. And so I was like, okay, those are decent. But now, I think I'm with you. I'm a go-to. My go-to would probably be one of those ice cream cones, one of the sundaes with the chocolate on the bottom and the cone. You can't beat that.
It's so nice.
Can't beat that. It's like a meal in an ice cream.
Ain't no doubt. My cousin always told his kids when the music went on, it meant they were out of ice cream.
That's what. That's actually genius. I might have to start using that. That would be look. Music.
All right, I've got a list of players here. We'll get to know them as we go along. We'll see how well you know where they went to school.
Okay. All
right. Some of these are a little tougher because, half the team went to Alabama, and that's no fun.
Yeah, that's right.
So let's start with J.D. McKissic.
Ooh, J.D. McKissic. He went to a smaller school. He played receiver. It was it in Conference USA?
No, I don't think so.
No, it was not. Okay.
Way down south, though.
Way down south. I feel like it starts with an M for some reason, but I'm probably wrong. Either an M or an A, and I am probably wrong. What was it?
This was a tough one. I know. Arkansas State.
Arkansas State. See?
Arkansas State.
Okay, there you go.
I looked this up. Is why I had him on the list too. 80 catches.
Yeah,
right. JD McKissic last year. Second on the team, I think.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
7, I think, behind McLaurin, which is crazy.
I remember being upset losing Chris Thompson and not realizing. I mean, I knew J.D. McKissic was a good pass catcher, but I didn't realize how good he was. J.D. McKissic, that guy's going to play a huge part in this offense this year. Again,
nobody did. I think it was Devin Silva we talked to 4 or 5 months ago. He said the league was stunned by McKissic. Right. In fact, there were people that think he wasn't going to stick in the league when the Lions let him go.
Right. Wow.
That he wasn't even going to get signed. So, yeah, no doubt. All right. What about my man, Deshazer Everett?
Oh, Deshazer Everett. Deshazer is, man, you're throwing out all these ones that are tough. These are tough ones. Deshazer went to.
It's an SEC school.
It's an SEC school. All right. It's not Arkansas. Deshazer Everett. Oh. Did he go? He didn't go to anywhere in Florida. Deshazer Everett. It wasn't Georgia. Deshazer Everett went to. It wasn't Mississippi State. Oh man, that is another hard one. Doug, you were killing me with this.
I know they're hard. Like I said, there's so many easy gimmies on the team.
Right,
we could have done that, but it didn't seem like it'd be much fun. Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. Okay.
Oh
yeah, that makes sense.
Both those guys, undrafted free agents.
Yep. Right.
All right. How about everybody's favorite kicker, Hopkins?
Dustin Hopkins. He went to Florida State.
There you go.
There we go.
Now you're on the board.
Now we go. Finally.
How about Cole Holcomb?
Oh, Cole Holcomb went to North Carolina.
There you go. And we'll finish up with everybody's favorite DB, Troy Atke.
Oh, Penn State. The Penn State University.
Go.
There we go.
Penn State University.
3 of 5 so far,
Not bad. Like those first couple ones were tough.
Those ones are tough.
Let's talk a little bit about the podcast, the Burgundy Zone.
Okay.
It's been, you guys have had it for a couple of years. You came in 3rd. Is that right? Did the other 2 gents already have one? Or did you guys all 3 start at the same time? I can't remember.
So originally, me and Kyle started it. It was back in 2017. Me and Kyle started it. We instantly after the first episode, one of my friends who's into production and stuff was like, hey, I don't know much about sports, but I mean, you guys obviously know what you're talking about. Why don't you come down to our studio and record in Silver Spring? So we did that for a while. That was a lot of fun. And then after a little bit, like we did it for a couple of years. Then in 2019, I moved up to Gettysburg, and that was before we really knew about Zoom calls. So it was kind of hard for me to get down there all the time. So after a little bit, I was just like, I'm just going to take a break, because it was about an hour away. So I was like, I'm just going to take a break, and then we'll see what happens. So then Hall came on with Kyle. They started doing it. And then the quarantine stuff, they picked up Zoom calls. So I was able to make it every week. So then we just kind of went from there. And then now it's grown after that. So it's taken a while, but it's getting there.
It does take a while. Now you guys are exploding right now.
Yeah,
Who is Ted? Did you guys start out with guests? How long was the show going before you guys started, inviting guests to come on the show?
No. Actually, at first it was just me and Kyle, and it wasn't necessarily just a Washington Football Redskins sportcast. It was all DC sports. So we would talk everything. I mean, obviously Nats, Wizards, Capitals, Washington, and we would have every once in a while like a couple friends or something come on, but it was never anything up until really 2020. Yeah, like about a year ago, when we started getting like guests that were, somebody to kind of write home about. I think the first one that we had we were really excited about was Morgan Moses, and then after that we're getting like Julie Donaldson and all those people. So it was good. It was a lot of fun. Ever since then, it's been a surprise. It seems like every week for us.
You guys have been fortunate to get some of the players on there.
Yeah.
Those are tough.
Yeah.
To track those guys down.
Yeah.
Who is tasked with tracking those guests down?
9 times out of 9, I will say it's Kyle. Kyle, every time. I don't know what it is, man. Kyle is very persistent, and I guess he met a couple people that he talked to. They liked him, and they continued to hook him up. And then after that, he kind of got a name for himself, and he's been talking to people, and people have somehow been responding. It's funny because I'll try to message people from our Burgundy Zone account or something like Kyle will, and nobody will respond anytime I do it. But when Kyle does it, for some reason, they take the bait.
That's hilarious. And when did you guys put up to YouTube? Because it didn't start that way either, right?
No, right. We were starting only live streaming on Facebook. And then I think really about a year ago is when we started taking the YouTube account seriously, but really only the last few months has the YouTube account really been kind of, we've been seeing like a lot of growth on it. And so, yeah, we would put them everywhere, man. Apple Pods. There's Good Pods was an app that we were promoted by at one point to do. But yeah, we have them everywhere. We put them everywhere, but YouTube is really where we've been kind of taking it seriously over the last few months.
And when it's not football season, what's your second favorite sport?
Oh, I'm a baseball guy. I'm a diehard Nationals fan.
I wonder. I saw the curly W there on your arm.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's hasn't been done for like 3 years, but yeah, it's I'm a Nats fan, but I like all DC sports, man. I'm a Wizards fan. I know that's cringe according to Parker to like all teams from one spot, but I'm a diehard DC.
I don't get that. The only DC's team I don't root for is the Nats, and that's only because there was no team, and we were Braves fans because of it.
Right.
Which is tough. I wish it wasn't the same division, but
I know, but that's the one team where it's okay. Like I feel like from this area, if you're not a fan of it, I have a lot of friends that are fans strictly DC teams, except for baseball. They're fans of the Orioles or something, so
that's right.
It is what it is.
And I tried. I had thought about it, and I just couldn't give up the lifetime fandomness. You know what I mean?
Hey, if you're a Braves fan, man, I don't blame you. You guys are stacked. You guys are set for a long time.
Well, and it was not that way when I was a kid. You know what I mean? We went through some rough years. Down there.
That's like me, man. We went through some rough years, and now then we had a good year, and now we're getting back towards the rough years. So it's a roller coaster.
They're gonna have to deal Scherzer, aren't they?
Yeah, it seems like it. It's looking like it, which sucks. But
all right, this week we are doing DBs.
Yes.
Okay. So I made a list here, so I wouldn't forget any. We'll start with the corners.
Right.
Fuller and Jackson, I think. Yeah,
those are
got those on the outside.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Moreland and St. Juice are locks to make the team.
Yeah. So I will for sure St. Juice. I do think Jimmy Moreland is pretty much a lock. And I do also think he's a dark horse to have a very good year. We had Jimmy on our show. He's one of the coolest people in the world. He's awesome. I mean, this guy, you've seen last year, some of his numbers, some games he was incredible, but I do think that there's maybe a 1 to 2% chance. I don't think, like I said, I don't think it'll happen, but that he could be a dark horse as somebody who didn't make the team just because he was not drafted by Ron and them. If you look at the way St. Juice has been playing, he's been playing fantastic. Fuller, McCain, who's listed as a cornerback, Daryl Roberts, those guys are all better inside. But I think that I think that Jimmy's growth is going to be ridiculous. And somebody had pointed, the only reason I said that he could be is just because that's, would make some headlines. And I really don't think that there's any chance that he doesn't make the team. And I think that I expect a big year from him. But if any of those guys, it's a crowded room right now, man. That's just,
it is. That's what I said. And we'll get there. I'll keep
horse.
reading them off, but you're right. There is. I mean, the room's big, and there's no way they can keep all of them.
Right.
It's interesting. You're the first one I've heard say that. I don't necessarily disagree with you.
Right.
Right. Because we'll finish the show with today. I've been running this "Call Me Crazy" segment at the end of Friday shows. Okay. And one of them is I think sooner than later St. Juice will be kicked outside and nickel, and they'll move Fuller inside.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Which means there won't be as much need for the nickel, right? I mean, you're only going to play 3 corners on the field at max most of the time because of all the safeties they've got.
I was about to say, they're going to be playing a lot of 3 safety sets, so it's going to be interesting, man. But this is a good versatile group. So,
and I guess the rest of them are Greg Stroman,
right?
I think makes the team because he's does Jimmy Moreland play special teams? I was trying to think that.
No,
that'll be a problem for him too.
Exactly. That's the other thing is it's the versatility of some of these guys, and then the special teams aspect. Like we'll get to him later, but Deshazer Everett's a fantastic special teams guy. So it's going to be tough with balancing all this out. Like I was looking at, I'm sorry to cut you off. I was looking at it earlier, and I was like, dude, realistically, I could see 11 DBs making this team. Like who do I?
Yeah, because they gave Cole Luke a contract, right? I mean, everybody will forget Cole Luke, but I mean, they gave him a guaranteed contract.
Right. People forget about Daryl Roberts. People forget about some of the rookies like Derek Forrest. Like there's going to be some young guys that make the team.
Yeah, Johnson plays special teams.
Yeah, Danny Johnson, right? Like Danny Johnson's a good returner too. He's a decent returner.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Daryl Roberts makes 8. And they've got Bobby McCain listed as a cornerback.
Right. I was about to say when I just checked it. Clearly he's going to be playing some sort of hybrid role, which is what he's best at. But he was always better as a corner, as an inside guy, especially in the slot. He's really shined there. He hasn't put up the numbers that he did as a corner at safety. I mean, he's kind of fallen off a little bit, but that versatility, like with him, Fuller can drop back and play some safety despite him not being as good at it, as people make him out to be. But it's this versatility in the secondary, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then once we get to the safeties, you've got Reeves, Atke, Collins, Curl, Everett, and the rookie Forrest. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 DBs.
Right. And you could really make the argument for a lot of them. Like that's why when I was trimming it down and trying to figure out who made the roster, I was like, there's 11 of these guys that I really just don't want to get rid of. Like, of course, there's a few locks, like obviously Cam Fuller, Cam Curl, Kendall Fuller, William Jackson. I mean, Jimmy Moreland's close. Landon Collins has to because of his contract. So it's kind of tough right now to say like who's is and isn't going to make it. It's a good problem to have, though. It's not something that we've had here in a long time.
It is. Well, we were discussing this the last week or one of these shows. Sometimes they run together, but there are going to be a lot of team players that don't make this team that are going to catch on with other squads, and I don't know that that's something we could have said a whole lot of in recent memory.
In years past, I mean, even on the opposite side of the ball, you look at receiver, just it's night and day compared to last year. At least it should be. I mean, I know it's still early. I know it's only June, but like receivers we're so deep this year, whereas last year it was you could really, aside from Terry, you could make an argument for anybody. So it was tough.
Yeah, I mean that was the first one that we did in this little series.
Right,
was the wide receivers, and you're right, it gets tough.
Yeah,
it gets tough because you'll have I think what we were talking about was Harmon, Danny Golden, and Humphreys.
Yeah, kind of all vying for a spot.
I bet you only one of those 3 makes the squad, and I would bet it's not Humphreys.
Yeah, I think out of those guys between you said it was Harmon, Humphreys, and AGG. Is that what you said?
That would be my guess is the last three.
Out of those three, Harmon's the most talented. I think Harmon's the best wide receiver out of those three right now. I mean, he's shown the most. His rookie year, he had over 700 receiving yards. So, I mean, yeah, it's tough. But he wasn't taken by this coaching staff. AGG was. He's coming off an injury. So it's one of those, it's weird. It's definitely
it weird. Is. And the coaching staff has showed you that if they didn't draft you, don't keep your bags packed.
Right. They don't care. They want what they want. They know who they like. They know the kind of player that they like, and they know what they're doing.
Were you as stunned as I was at how well Everett played at free safety last year, and that they've opened up camp? I know it's just camp, but I mean they had him starting at free safety next to Curl.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was very surprised because Everett's always been a nice, solid player. He's him and Jeremy Reeves. They've both been very solid guys, like good backups, but not anybody that you ever would expect to come out and play well. But Everett and Reeves, they played very well when they were in there. Like, especially, I mean, Jeremy Reeves had, I think it was like, according to PFF, the highest Washington safety rating since Sean Taylor or something. And that's nuts in itself. And Everett, not only is he just a captain, he's a solid player on the field, but also his special teams aspect makes it so interesting too, because he can go out there and be a gunner. If he's healthy, he's a fantastic special teams player.
Absolutely. Captain, right? He's captain special teams.
Yeah. The special teams is going to be interesting for this. So we had somebody on, I forget who it was somebody from PFF about a month ago, and I was talking to him. We're talking about the receivers, and I was talking to him about how we have to find out who's going to be a return man, because that could make somebody the roster right there. And he was like, yeah, but you're only really looking at a punt returner, because kick returners really they're irrelevant nowadays with all the touchbacks. Right. And that's true. I didn't even take that into consideration. I was like, yeah, that's a valid point.
Yeah, I hadn't either. Yeah, because generally it's like a running back or something crazy back there. It's not even
right.
The old speed burner.
Exactly, like right. It's a north-south type dude, and they don't kick returners don't even really return the ball anymore, it seems like.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. When you guys do your shows, it's always amazing to me. 4 people is tough. We've done them before to get people from not, running over each other. The host has got to really kind of work that thing like an orchestra. How much time do you guys pre-planning, sharing questions? Do you share your questions? Do you just say, all right, listen, we're gonna go in order unless there's just a necessary follow-up question?
Yeah. So before we record, I mean, we'll talk all throughout the week. But since we do an episode every Tuesday and every Thursday, we'll start recording at about 6:30, I believe. Yeah, 6:30. Yeah. And so we'll get into the Zoom chat at about 6. We'll kind of go over what we're gonna talk about, what order we're gonna go in. Sometimes it's just like, since there's not much going on right now, kind of just had like a lot of the similar questions for like the last month. It seems like I mean, there hasn't been much to talk about since the draft ended. So I mean, some of them we haven't written down or anything. We're just like, all right, Kyle, you ask first, and then that'll remind me of this, and then Hall goes, and then it's just kind of just feeding off of
that was my follow-up. I'm curious if you use a show sheet or how that goes. I know some like to. When I first started, I used one every time. I don't use nearly as much now. What do you guys do?
Yeah. I'll have my notes open on my computer, and I'll have a few questions typed in there, just like as emergencies if I don't think of anything when it comes to me. But sometimes it gets tough because some of them are just so generic. Like before you're really talking to somebody, and they're all just. I guarantee most of the questions that you have are the same as somebody else. So you just. Like they're so generic, and I just have them in emergency that like you also really got to listen and cross them off or put a check mark next to them if they've already been asked, and not accidentally slip up and ask the same question. So it's tough, but as long as you're paying attention, you'll be good.
That's right. All right, let's wrap up with this little Call Me Crazy segment that I got. Let's do this. Call me crazy. Logan Thomas will lead the team in receiving yards.
Ooh. See, I almost want to call you crazy because Terry, obviously. However, look, Ryan Fitzpatrick loves his tight ends. He loves his big targets. Logan Thomas is only going to get better from last year, I think. I don't think that there's any question about that. He's still learning the position, and he's really putting in work, man. I will call you crazy because I'll say maybe he could lead the team in receptions. I don't know about receiving yards. So I will say, Doug, you're crazy there.
All right. Mike, call me crazy, but Terry McLaurin will break 15 touchdowns on the year.
Oh, see, that's another one. I am good just because I'm so used to being a Washington fan and not having anything really go my way. I'm going to call you crazy. However, hey, Terry can do anything. And now that Terry has help opposite him to kind of shift coverages away and a quarterback that likes to throw the ball downfield as opposed to last year, Terry can really do whatever he wants. I think that as long as Terry's healthy and he gets the ball thrown his way, Terry could do anything.
I agree. And they are going to pump the ball down the field.
Yes.
Anybody that tells you they brought him in here to kind of take care of the ball and play great defense like they did in the Miami, no way.
No way.
They had those quarterbacks on the roster.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. We saw what happened with those quarterbacks. Now, the whole reason Fitz was brought in, I think, was the exact opposite of that. So he could push the ball down the field.
Oh, absolutely. I say this all the time. Ron said that they looked at Buffalo for the way to rebuild this thing. Right. And the coach up there said, listen, I'd love to be able to win ball games 14-13, but you'll lose all your hair and be out of the league soon. It's a scoring league. You have to score points.
Yes, it's just not today's NFL. Today's NFL is points. As good as your defense is, they're still going to get points put up on them, unfortunately, it seems like. So you got to be able to score.
Might call me crazy, but Sweat leads the team in sacks this year.
No, I don't think I could 100% see that. I think Montez Sweat, people always forget about him just because of the hype of Chase Young, but Montez Sweat had a better season last year. I know Chase was a rookie and I know he missed some time. And I know this year Chase is a full off season, but if everybody's going to be that focused on Chase, man, Montez Sweat is going to feast. Montez Sweat is so naturally talented. He's such a high motor guy with his athleticism and really nothing can stop Montez Sweat either. He's somebody else who can really do whatever he wants, especially if you're going to single block him. No, yeah, Montez Sweat, I could see him 100% leading the team in sacks.
And we'll finish with this. It's not necessarily a call me crazy. I'm just curious your thoughts on it. We're going to talk to Mark Bullock on Monday about it.
Okay.
I've got this 5-1-5 defensive set in my mind.
Okay.
Got to find a way to get all 5 defensive linemen now that Ioannidis is back.
Right.
Both Sweat and Chase Young, even though I know the fan base don't want to hear it, can drop into coverage from time to time. And it also gets you one of your better groupings. The safeties on the field, more safeties, the better. They like Khaliki Hudson. They're going to have to find time for him this year.
Yeah.
And they didn't, other than Jamin Davis, they did nothing to improve the linebacker situation, which makes me think maybe they're just not that concerned about linebacker because they're going to have so many safeties on the field. 5-1-5. My man Ashburn called it the shark attack set. What do you think about that 5-1-5?
I love that idea. I think that really, I mean, even like you said, Montez Sweat and Chase Young, they're both super athletic and they can drop into the flood. They can cover. And Montez Sweat, as we've seen, he can get his hand on balls really from anywhere on the field. I mean, Montez Sweat, we call him Montez SWAT. He's just constantly batting balls down. And yeah, I think that you're right with the linebackers. I mean, really, you only brought in Jamin Davis. And what does that tell you? That tells you that, like you said, they're okay with the linebackers being semi-thin because they're going to use safeties and they're going to use some defensive linemen. They're going to use people all over. And I think a 5-1-5 would be an amazing thing to see. And I really think that somebody like Jack Del Rio could have a field day with that. Getting all your best players on the field at one time. Oh my God.
Because they've still got D-line depth after those 5, you know, you still got Tim Settle. And I'm telling you, you watch for Smith Williams this year. They are high on him, and he's another athletic freako.
Yeah, 100%. And like we talked about with that secondary. So when I was going through it, so many of this secondary, so many players in the secondary are versatile. I mean, you look at obviously Bobby McCain, you look at Darryl Roberts, you look at Kendall Fuller, even you look at Jeremy Reeves. Let's see who else is there. St. Juice, technically he can play safety. I don't think he will play that much this year, but I mean, those 5 guys can play corner, they can play safety, they can play wherever and do it effectively too. So, I mean, you can have so many mixings and matchings with this defense that I really think that this defense is going to be the one to beat in the NFL this year.
I do too. I think that people are going to realize that Darby was really good last year. He should get more credit probably than he gets from the fan base. Because listen, every corner is going to get torched, right? Exactly. They definitely got torched a couple of times, but if you don't get torched once in a while, then you're probably not out there trying. Either that or be the very best. But Jackson is an upgrade.
That 100%.
I mean, it's just all there is to that. And they brought him in because, to your point, versatility. They watch the tape. And Ron
Yeah.
said, well, they didn't use him in both, but he can play man and zone.
Yes.
So we don't have a
And
problem with it.
that's his. I really think I've been saying this since we signed him. He was the one person that I was okay with obviously signing if we let Darby go. And I was a big Darby guy, surprisingly. I think he played very, you're right. He played very
They
well
offered Darby too. He didn't.
They did. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that they were high on him, but William Jackson III, I think, I honest to God think William Jackson has a very real chance of being a top 5 cornerback in the NFL this year. I know that I probably sound like a homer with all this stuff I'm saying, but it's all about the defense. This defense can be fantastic. William Jackson, with this defensive line in front of him, you got Fuller, you got Moreland, you got all these other guys opposite him. I really think that William Jackson can have, he had a very good year. I think it was two seasons ago, at least according to PFF. I think he can have another season right around there and really kind of establish himself as one of the better corners in the NFL. He was used out. He wasn't used right in Cincy.
And that's right. And to your point with that defensive line, there ought to be opportunities to take the ball away for sure.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. That's the biggest thing. Hey, look at Darby Fuller. Darby had the best season of his career last year. Fuller started to kind of weaned out a little bit towards the end, but he still played fantastic. He got his hands on more balls than he usually does. So I really think the opportunity is there for William Jackson.
And let's wrap with this, Mike. What makes a successful season next year?
See, it's tough. I know a lot of people want to talk about the first place schedule being very difficult, and it is. I mean, they threw in Buffalo in there, and that's going to be a tough game, but it's the NFL. Not every teams are as good as they were the year previous, things of that nature. I really think that Washington should be the favorites to win the NFC East again. And if you really just look at it, look, I know the Giants made some improvements. I know that the Cowboys are getting some guys back, obviously like Dak. They think that they've improved their defense. I don't think they've improved their defense enough. Washington is just better all around. You look at Dallas, they have an elite defense. They have a an elite offense, a bottom of the road defense. You look at Washington has an elite defense, which should be a middle of the road with potential to be a little bit better offense. New York, I just don't think that their coaching staff matches up anywhere close to ours, though I do like Joe Judge. Their season rests on Daniel Jones. Do you trust him? I don't know. I surprisingly trust Fitz a little bit more than him. So I really think Washington wins the NFC East again. And if they don't, I think it'll be a disappointment to me.
Mike, thanks for coming on today with me.
Of course, man.
Tell the folks where to find you and what y'all got coming up next.
So yeah, of course, you can find me on the Burgundy Zone podcast. We record every Tuesday and every Thursday. We post it all over YouTube, Apple Pods, anywhere podcasts are found. Pretty much we post that. I am also on Twitter at Mike Reed 2156. My handle is Old Dad. So you can just follow me there. On Instagram, it's MikeReed.dj. So you guys can follow me there and make sure you listen to the Burgundy Zone whenever you're not listening to the Big Douglas Show.
Absolutely. Mike, we appreciate you.
Of course, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, bud.